I'm delighted to say that I'm joined on the show this week by Northwest 200 Chief Marshall Cathal Cunning. We're actually recording this part of the show on Wednesday, the 12th of May, which in normal circumstances would be bang in the middle of the Northwest 200 week. There's obviously no racing on the North Coast this year for the second year in a row now, and it's been a difficult time for race fans all over Ireland and the UK and further afield. And I think the response on social media in recent times shows just how much the event means to people on the North Coast. But as a man who plays a leading role at the event, Cathal's well placed just to tell us how much he's actually missing it. So, Cathal, I'd like to welcome you onto the show. And maybe you could just start by answering that question I've just asked you. Just how much are you missing the Northwest 200?
Well, last year I apparently was very cranky that week, so I was Northwest week, because normally I'm flat out from the Saturday to the Sunday, running about, getting sign on, checking marshals and everything. Last year I was able to sit down and actually watch the coverage on TV that was on. It was good to see it, but you definitely do miss it because you do meet an awful lot of people from year to year. There's marshals up here from Australia, I have a couple from Italy come over, Spain, obviously from our local marshals as well, the BSB marshals. So again, that number of people, I mean, overall, there's been 800 volunteers for Northwest 200, and they all play that part. This year is going to be really different because obviously 2 years in a row, it's just, sort of lost really. You go out by the paddock. I've been doing a lot of walking during lockdown and you're walking past and they're just empty. Whereas that mini village hasn't actually built this year again. And it's just sad to see it.
Yeah, and outside of that, it's a week long festival with a real party atmosphere, and we all hear the riders talk about it and the fans talking about how they love nothing more to bomb into the Anchor in Port Stewart for a pint after racing or practice, whatever it may be. And hopefully in 2022, it'll be nice to have that buzz back again.
Let's hope it is. But we're actually planning ahead now. I mean, obviously September's are going to be our kickoff date for next year's event. We're looking at different ideas, how we can basically build the event back up again, which we have to do. The race fans are out there. The past few days I've actually posted on Facebook. So I have different things. We have a new banner up out at the paddock, put it up the other day as in welcome you back for 2022. I think we will build on it and we have that base there to get us up there again.
Yeah, and I suppose it's that can-do attitude that'll carry the event through in the future. And you touched there just briefly about your role as Chief Marshal, but for those that may be tuning in listening, could you give us a breakdown of just what you put into the event before and during it, and maybe even after as well?
Well, kick off in September, so we do 10 monthly meetings, management meetings. So we're all responsible for our own sections. There's actually 14 managers from Northwest 200. I'm doing the marshalling with the chief flag marshal, communications, course setup, and course build. From my side of it, I would start looking at the zone marshals. We do the risk assessments where the marshals are actually placed around the circuit. We look at the learnings from the previous year and adopt them. So the likes of a new building, a new wall. So can I put a flag marshal there? Can I put a marshal there? We have the likes of the built-up areas around the circuit. So we may need more marshalling in that area. Do we need pedestrian barriers? So that's all from that right the way through. We did roads inspection then January, February with the MCI, roads inspection team. So again, we go around the circuit, look at different points, sort of say, yes, we need 15 marshals there, 10 there. Overall, I need 190 marshals for practice and 220 for racing. So it's a big ask for the marshals as well. We then also have our training days through the MCUA. So we all attend a seminar and have to attend them every year for the actual training, get trained off. We have as well an open marshal training day. Usually have that up in around Nuts Corner. So We get to use fire extinguishers, the radios, and just gel as a team. We'll work alongside the first aiders. Coming up closer to the event, sort of April, we would have our meetings with the zone marshals. The zone marshal is basically in charge of an area. So around the circuit, there's actually 24 zone marshals who are responsible for their own marshals in that area. And they would delegate who's doing what job. Sort of 2 weeks before the event, I have all the paperwork done, which is the sign-on sheets, the prohibited area maps. They have a lot of information on residents, comings and goings as well. Obviously, if there's new residents in the area, I'd actually go and introduce myself to them. So, because at times you get all these blue things outside our wall, and they don't know anything about the race. They bought the house during the winter. These things appear. Week before the race, I would start going around the likes of schools, the medical centres and that, and just sort of see what's needed from there. Race week starts for me on the Saturday, where we put out the roughly 1,000 pedestrian barriers at the road ends and make sure they're all closed off properly. Sunday is like a rest day, but it's like a snagging day. Then Monday, we would go around with the zone marshals and sort of meet up and check that everything's in place for them. Then Tuesday morning kick off when the roads close. That's my sort of panic time because I need that 190 marshals signed on. So I go around each zone and lift the sheets. And there's actually 2 assistant chief marshals as well. One covers from Ballysally to Church, and then the other is from Church across to Corrie. You see, so we just triangulate it, but we have to ensure that all the marshals are in place for at that time. After practice, it's sort of a bit of downtime, so we do again any snagging has to be done. Wednesday usually have a lazy day. Wednesday, that's my sort of off day nearly. Then Thursday you're back into it, practice. And it's a quick turnover between the practice and the race day. So again, it's making sure everybody's signed on. We have food packs to go out on the Thursday as well, which is a logistics on that. So we usually get a local company to send down one of their chilled vans, so we say, with the sandwiches in it, and they're all dished out round.
Very good.
Meet and greet the riders on the Friday is another great event. So it is. So we would go up to that as well. And basically have a wee presence there, maybe do a couple of interviews as well as volunteers. Saturday, I'm usually out in the circuit about 5:30 in the morning, doing a few laps around because you get spectators coming down and deciding that prohibited area is too big and maybe make it a little bit smaller and put the scaffolding up. You have houses around the circuit. There maybe there's 1 or 2 people living in it through the year. Northwest Saturday, there's 30 people. So you have to look at the crowds and that there. Again, taking a lap around the circuit when the road's closed to get all the sign-on sheets in. What I have done previously is I've jumped, sort of leapfrog around the circuit during practice and racing. So I'd stop off at York Corner and then move to the likes of Mathers or move to Church Corner inside the circuit. So then I have the advantage point of seeing where the marshals and that are. But I mean, it's just the buzz, the atmosphere. It's just great for us.
Yeah, and you mentioned there, the fact that of the work that goes on before, during, and after the Northwest 200. There's been no racing there for the last 2 years, which has been disappointing. But I noticed from passing by that the grass is still cut. There still is an element of course maintenance going on during this time, and I suppose that's important for looking ahead to next year.
Well, that's the thing about it. I mean, anybody who's involved in Northwest have the ownership of the event as well. And the grass comes down to John. John's down there relentlessly, spring, summer, winter, cutting that grass and making sure the paddock is kept as it is. Because I mean, if you let it go, it just be a wilderness. But I mean, he keeps it amazing, so he does. And he's down there maybe 5-6 hours for a couple of days a week.
Yeah.
So he's cutting it. There's some maintenance that has to be done. Even the likes of the electric boxes, I mean, they all be painted. The lights of the lighting standards and that everything will just be maintained. The likes of even brushing the stones back into the actual gravel traps. So I mean, it's just, I think we've all been involved quite a number. I mean, I've been involved, 16 years as Chief Marshal, before that marshalling as well. I mean, I've grown up with the event, like all of us. I mean, some of the guys are now, 40 plus years. So they are. So that's where we're now looking at sort of like a succession plan, and wanting some new blood in to give us a hand to move towards the centenary, which is in 8 years' time.
Yeah, and we talked off the record, just before we come on there, about your involvement with the Armoy Club, and this summer you also helped them out, and they're full steam ahead for racing at the end of July, which is also exciting, and it's great to see that there'll be some racing around Armoy this year.
It's going to be great. So it is, like, again, there is a crossover from the Korean Club and the Armoy Club. I mean, as in the Chief Marshal, the Flag Marshals, and everything as well. Again, it's one big family really, who it's nearly like a traveling circus. So if there's a race on, we're going to it. Again, it's just the planning process for that started way back with the road inspection and everything done. I'm now working on the marshal's instructions as well. It's the same thing. You have your zone marshal and your marshals in each sector. I've only got 8 zone marshals per Armoy as opposed to the 24. Again, Armoy is a great event, so it is. And I've been involved with it from the start as well.
Yeah, so what you're telling me is that, your love affair with road racing runs quite deep, but just looking ahead to next year, and I know that you'll probably remain tight-lipped on any plans or anything like that, but is there anything that you can reveal at this early stage for listeners about the Northwest 200, or what plans there may be in place?
At the minute, we're just going to be bigger and better and back with a bang, so, and that's the thing. I mean, we hope to have the basically full event next year, and that's what we're planning towards, the full grids and everything again.
Yeah, and it was said it's constantly under review, but the hope would be, hopefully by that time, social distancing and masks and all of that would be a thing of the past, and we'll be hoping to be, but as you say, back with a bang in 2022.
Well, that's what we're hoping. I mean, again, social distance is going to be with us the rest of this year. Hopefully, with the vaccination rollout and everything, we will have the sort of like a full open paddock, because I mean, that's part of Northwest 200, is having that full paddock, the buzz of it, the smell of it, getting up close to the riders, the teams and everything. I mean, and again, that's where the whole thing with Northwest 200, it's a family oriented event. You can go meet your stars and chat to them as if you're walking down the street. So it is, and that's part of it. The hospitality marquee, I mean, that after party is just totally amazing as well. And then obviously you move on to the likes of the anchor and that's you good for later on.
Yeah, and you touched on there the fact of the family aspect associated with the Northwest and meeting riders and all the rest, but for the riders themselves, they're all on social media telling us just how much they love coming to the Northwest, and it's the event has evolved, it always has attracted big names, but in recent years we've had the top stars in BSB and from the road scene, and I suppose the hope would be that there will be even more to come next year.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the riders themselves, I mean, it's like there's been a lot of, Glenn's had tweets out today, Alistair as well. Again, the bigger names are great to have here, but they all enjoy the place. I mean, Peter Hickman as well. I mean, 2019, I mean, Stefan Bonetti doing the first Italian to win. I mean, the jubilation that night in his face. So again, like I said, from the privateer right up to the big teams, it's just they all enjoy the event and have sorely missed it. I think some of the other riders coming up now, I mean, with the lineup of riders ready for 2019. So again, I think we will have near the same again. I mean, newcomers are key to the event and keeping the event going as well. But you have your John McGuinness and Michael Rutter and that who still want to be there and participate. I mean, Jeremy Williams, I mean, he's a class act, so he is. Because just he had never done the roads before. And I mean, that Super Twin race is really his, may as well say. And I mean, yes, he had a few tumbles, but he got up and that race was his.